It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of August 12th, 1994. We only got two movies to look at, so this one should be done pretty quickly, so let's just jump on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, big in quotation marks, of course, Pauly Shore in the Army Now.
Because of the few who serve this country and risk their lives for our freedom that Americans can go to sleep feeling safe. Until now.
Sorry.
Pauly Shore is in the Army now. He does more damage by 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
You remember the movie Stripes? You remember how funny that movie was? The direction by Ivan Reitman, the writing of Harold Ramis. It also had him with Bill Murray, John Candy, John Larroquette's in there too. Remember how funny that movie was? Imagine if we did this 13 years later, take away anything remotely funny about this movie, and put Pauly Shore in instead of Bill Murray. You have this movie, and you have a movie that's pretty downright terrible. I mean, that trailer was not doing any favors to that movie. Despite that, that's probably the best way to sell this movie. But because everything else in it is just so not funny, and it's amazing how bad this movie was. Like, I can't believe that this was actually one of his highest-grossing movies he made. This is actually the fourth highest-grossing film he starred in, behind Encino Man, Son-in-Law, and I guess a Goofy Movie is part of it too, because he is one of the voices in there. But man, this is a terrible movie. This is a horrible, horrible movie. They steal liberally from Stripes. They looked at the script from Stripes and said, you know what would make this better? Put Pauly Shore in it. We'll take anything that made Stripes funny in the first place, and we'll sell it to kids because it's a PG-rated movie. And yeah, PG was different in the 1990s and in the 80s and 90s, but for PG, it's PG, man. Like I don't get it. I don't get it at all. This movie is so horrible, and like Encino Man at least has at least had some memorable stuff to it. Son-in-Law was at least trying. This is the point where Pauly Shore's movies were becoming so annoying, and he kept making these movies. And this was actually the last film of a 3-picture deal they did with Disney, and Disney knew when to cut him off. I mean, granted, yes, he was in a Goofy movie that came out a year after this, but still. Yeah, this is like, I don't know what else to say about this movie. It's like, it's a watered-down version of Stripes. It's not funny. They pack in these notable names in here, just like they did with Stripes. They have not only Pauly Shore leading the charge, but Lori Petty's in here, David Allen Greer, Andy Dick, Esai Morales, Lynn Whitfield, Glenn Morshower. Brendan Fraser has a cameo in here, replaying his character from Encino Man. But, like, man, this is just, it's just not funny at all. It's like they deliberately tried to take all the things that made Stripes so funny, all the things that made other movies like this, like Private Benjamin, all those movies like that. They took everything that made those movies funny and just said, we're going to put out this safe, marketable crap, and we're going to put this guy that we are trying to force onto you as the next big comedy star, and he certainly is not that at all. And I mean, what more can you say about this movie? In the Army Now, it's just a horrible, horrible knockoff of Stripes. Definitely one of the worst movies of the year. But let's end this week on a much better note. We move on to a much better comedy that came out the same weekend, and that is, of course, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
If alien beings arrived in your town, how would they act? What would they say? And most importantly, what would they wear?
Come on, girls. Let's go shopping.
Gramercy Pictures proudly presents a comedy that will change the way you think, the way you feel, and most of all, the way you dress.
You actually make money by dressing up like a woman?
Oh, sure. You can make a fine living in a pair of heels.
The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Do you have the Texas Chainsaw Mascara?
Rated R.
This is, of course, Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which was a big surprise hit when it came out in 1994, and it was actually the first introduction for a mainstream audience worldwide to LGBT themes. You're following two drag queens played by Hugo Weaving and Guy Pearce, and a transgender woman played by Terence Stamp as they journey across the Australian outback from Sydney to Alice Springs in a tour bus that they named Priscilla. Along the way, encountering various groups of individuals, and of course, the title of the film references the slang term "queen" for a drag queen or a female impersonator. But American audiences will notice that this movie was actually the film that would eventually be remade into for American audiences in To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, which came out a year later. Which we've talked about that movie. I've talked about that movie on the website when I did the Amblin Entertainment Anniversary thing, and when we get to that movie, I'll delve back into it. But I thought that movie was pretty good, and I think this movie is just as good, and you can definitely see a lot of the influence that movie took from this. And it's just a fun movie. Hugo Weaving, Guy Pearce, Terence Stamp, they're playing these characters so well. You get invested in this adventure that they're going on. It's a fun movie. It's a film that really, no matter what kind of a person you're into, if you go into this with the right notes, you could definitely find yourself really enjoying this movie. The comedy overall is very funny. You like the camaraderie between these three people. And it's just a ton of fun. It's a nicely made film, visually pleasing to look at, a ton of fun on so many levels, and like I said, it's a really fun movie. I can't recommend this movie enough. If you haven't seen Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, definitely give it a shot. You might actually be pleasantly surprised by what you get from it. And just like that, we're done. That concludes this week's episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll delve into the movies of August 19th. We got 4 movies, including Bruce Willis in the erotic thriller Color of Night. We also have the movie Andre, Damon Wayans starring in the superhero comedy Blank Man, and also Killing Zoe. So 4 movies to look at. We'll look at those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. And until then, as always, take care.